Good afternoon. Welcome back to Cozy Up and Pay Attention, the Parent Edition. I usually say if you're looking in my face, it's 2 o'clock, but my guest worked late today, so we're on at 4:30. Yes, and you can find us again on YouTube at Cozy at prconnectionsradio.com. So getting that out of the way, I have another wonderful guest for you today who is doing a fabulous job of raising another responsible adult. If you would please take a deep breath, let it out, hang in there. We'll be right back.
Cozy Stone is a multi-talented comedian extraordinaire who has a real lust for life. She also combines humor and motivation, where she is known as a humorvational speaker. Her youthful ways and positive light make her a beacon for those of all ages. Cozy has lived a remarkable life that has paved the way for so many. She had the longest running open mic venue of 11 years at Tommy Rockers in Vegas, called Cozy's Comedy Corner, through which she introduced many up-and-coming comedians. Before going into comedy, she was one of the first female personal trainers and one of the top fitness trainers in the world. She has trained many greats such as Billie Jean King, Roberta Flack, Andrew Young, Ed Bradley, CCH Pounder, Al Pacino, and Earl Monroe. As a former competitive bodybuilder, she also owned a bodybuilding gym for women over 40 in Los Angeles for several years. She has worked in top positions for HBO, Playboy, and Tony Robbins. She also enjoys volunteer work, dedicating time to the New York Foundling Hospital and babies with AIDS. Cozy Stone has a message that shouldn't be missed.
Please welcome my guest today, Charlene Trevino.
Hello.
Good afternoon, young lady. How are you today?
Fabulous.
Well, good. And before we get started, I love to say to the audience, first of all, what I want to say is today is our season 2, and you have the privilege and pleasure of being our first guest on the season 2. I also love to say to my guests, to my audience every week, is that this show, we know that there's no such thing as a perfect parent or a book that will pertain to each and every child. And I think all you have to do is have more than one, and anyone out there would say she's absolutely correct. The other thing about this show is that there's no such thing as a perfect parent. It just doesn't exist. Last and foremost is the show is not about parent shaming. So with that in mind, I want to start off with asking you, Charlene, a little bit about you, your background. Where were your parents? What part of the country were your parents from? And how old were they when well, you have an older brother, correct?
No, my brother is 6 years younger than me.
Oh, so you are the oldest child.
I am the oldest.
Well, fabulous. So where were they from and how old were they when they brought you into this world?
My mom is from Missouri, and my dad is from Alabama. My dad was 17, and my mom was 18 when I was born. And I was actually born in Wiesbaden, Germany.
Because your father was in the service?
Yes.
Okay. And so, okay, give me that again. Your mom was 18?
My mom was 18, and my dad was 17.
Okay. And how old were they when they had you?
My mom, they were both 18.
Ooh, so we've got young parents here. I like that. I like that. Whatever it means to me, I like that. And how old were you when you had your first child?
I was 22.
Okay. So didn't necessarily follow. When you met the father to your child, what was it about him? Let me go backwards. Did you have a planned or unplanned pregnancy?
Unplanned.
All right. So what? So now you're having a child and it wasn't particularly planned. Was there anything, or what was some of the characteristics he had that you were hoping would be prevalent in your child?
Very good looks, of course. But he also had a very strong personality. um,
Okay.
captivated people around him. And I was also very outgoing and talkative and just like to have fun. So I thought, both of us, I would like him to have those qualities from us. Lo and behold, he's complete opposite.
Oh, your son.
Yes,
All right. All right. We'll get to that. So, and I have to remember my different parents right now. So, did you find out by the stick or from a doctor that you were pregnant?
I knew. I knew. I just knew. And so I took a just an at-home pregnancy test and yep,
Okay. So now you know you're 22, and he is how old?
25.
All right. So you're young adults. You
Hmm.
know, I would put you both in the young adult category. You hear the news, you know the news. What was the instant when you saw that stick and realized what was going on? Was it fear or fantasy?
Fear. I never wanted kids, never wanted to be married, and
Oh.
here I am. The stick says yes, and oh my God, here we go.
How long did you know him before you got pregnant?
Not very long. We were together for like 3 or 4 months.
Wow. Did you know anything at all about his upraising, about his family?
A little bit. I his parents and my parents were actually friends, so I did.
All right. So, what were some of the differences? I don't know if you discussed it before, before your kid came in this world. Well, I want him to do so and so, or I'm not particularly fond of so and so. Can you think of one or two things that you knew were going to be a major conflict or a minor conflict in raising?
Not really, because again, I never wanted kids, so it wasn't ever a discussion. It was never up for discussion. It was just no in my book
What was no?
to have kids and a family and the marriage thing, and so it was never discussed between me and him what the possibilities of a child would bring.
Did you
Or
ever live together?
no,
Okay. Did you co-parent well?
for a couple years, and then no.
And then he dropped his responsibilities? Is that
Yeah.
fair? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. See, and again, these are things I want you to say. This show is on the premise of it happens to any and all of us.
Yes.
We're
Yeah.
so
He
we're so not unique as human beings. And if there's something that someone is watching the show, younger or even a middle age, and says, "Wow, maybe that's something I either wanted to think about, something I wanted to entertain, or something, as you're saying, nothing I wanted to do with him at all." So
yes.
your support system was
My mother, my father, my brother. Surprisingly, I'm as still as young as he was in his teens, wanting to do, teenage things. He was, uh, my brother and me were always very, very close to each other. So he was a good support system and my best friend.
okay. So now again, we're going to go back to the stick and the fact that you know you're pregnant. You had 9 months. Did you carry for 9 months?
I did not.
How long did
Um, I carried, he tried to be 6 weeks early. And I went into the hospital on Thanksgiving and he had broke the bag,
Of course
busted his
you did.
bag. Uh-huh. And they were like, "You're not going anywhere." Put me on bed rest, and everybody who knows me, that was like the worst time of my life.
Mhm.
Put me on bed rest for 10 days. I was in labor for 10 days.
Oh, oh.
He,
Okay.
I'm, I'm telling you,
So,
he came out giving me trouble.
so let's say you had 8 months and 10 days to know, obviously, you've got this human life inside of you that's ready to come out.
Mhm.
What were three things you thought of before birth? You had 9 months. You had 8 months to walk around, and he grew and kick you and whatever have he did, whatever havoc he wreaked on your body. What were three things that, or two or three things you can think of before you gave birth?
I definitely was um, not wanting to be a mother. I was like, I am very much going to try to be there, um, not just to teach him, but to like let him know he has a comfort area. If he wants to play on the floor, I'm going to be on the floor with him, um, playing. In fact, my mom was like, "Yeah, wait till that time, and we'll see." But I did. I mean, we built a whole train set across my living room and everything. So that was one thing I wanted to be very active with him.
Yeah.
Um, and another thing was is that I wanted him, excuse me, I wanted him to know things that school doesn't teach him. I was going to teach him. Excuse me, such as finances, the work world, things like that, and um, you know those were two of my main things that I wanted for him. And of course, I wanted him in every sport that was going to be out there.
Okay. So I ask every parent, um, and I met your wonderful mom. So as your mom was raising you, and as I call it nagging, we thought they were nagging, but we know now they were preparing us. What are one or two things that you can remember your mom saying to you that you now say to Dom?
Oh my gosh. I brought you into this world. I'll take you out and make one that looks halfway like you.
Your mom would say that to
My
you,
mom would say that to me.
and you now say that to your
And
son.
I now say that to my son. And I told her, I will never say that to my son. Girl,
Is there one more that you have?
um, when he asks a question, and you know how you say, because I said so,
Huh?
she would always say, because I said so. I'm the parent. What I say goes. And
And you
I
said,
I swear I was never gonna say it. And I didn't for the longest time. And one time he just irritated me and it came out. And I promise you, as it came out, I go, oh my God, I sound like my mother.
yes, yes, and we all do. That's
Yeah.
that's why I put that question in there. Um, they're saying those things for a reason, and again, we don't want to hear it because we're young and we don't know the difference. And then we grow up and hear all those same words that we didn't want to hear coming out of our mouth. And chances are, if and when Dom decides to make a family, one or two of those statements will come out of his mouth as well. It just follows. It gets into the DNA and it just comes out. And the reason is, at the end of the day, it makes sense. Sort of. I don't know about that because I say so, but it doesn't matter. That's the question. Let's get into the questions that you chose. Your first question is, and your kid's just 18. So, do you and have you always known your child's friends?
Yes. I made it mandatory that every friend that he made, if he wanted to hang out with them, I had to meet them. And I had to meet their parents as well, not just the children. And I needed to know the parents because I needed to know the background of the child. If you don't have solid parenting over there, they're going to sway and do their thing, and he's going to want to follow or, lead into the same situations. So yes, I've always known my kids' friends. In fact, my house was the Kool-Aid house.
I've
And
never
I
heard that. What's the Kool-Aid
Kool-Aid
house?
house, the Kool-Aid house is the house on the block where all the kids come and they hang out, and you have a $400 grocery bill because they're eating your food and drinking your drinks, but they're there at your house and you know what they're doing. You're the Kool-Aid house.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I would imagine 18 years, one or two that you didn't particularly trust or had your doubts about, and how did you handle that?
There were a few. Um, in fact, one of them I ended up letting live with me for a little while because he got into some issues, and his mom's not part of the picture, and his dad was going through some stuff, and he did end up hurting me. But The way I usually handled them is I stayed on them just as if they were my own children, and their parents knew. If they did something wrong, they were punished at my house as well. If their grades weren't up, they weren't allowed to come over. I take a lot of my friends or my son's friends with us on trips. Like if we go to Disneyland or if we go to whatever park or to the beach or whatever, I would take them with me and they would have to show me their grades.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Your next question is, I get off on these wonderful answers because that's why I have you guys on this show. The next question you chose was, does your child have more of your qualities or his dad's?
My son, and everybody says it, is a spitting image of me. Everybody says he's my mini me. He is a smart aleck like me. He
Okay.
is, well, very smart, book smart, like
Uh-huh.
like me. He's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very his way or the highway kind of way, which is
Hmm.
kind of me too.
Hmm.
So yes, he is a spitting image
I
of me.
think they call that stubborn, Charlene.
That's so sensitive. Okay,
There's
yeah.
a word. There's a word for you.
Yes, we are both very stubborn. I'm still a little more stubborn than him, but yes, we tend to butt heads. We don't fight very often, but when we
Mhm.
do, they're pretty bad.
Are they?
Yeah.
And I'd like to think you win every time, whatever win means. And when I say win, I mean hopefully you're able to make him understand why it is your way. It's not your way, the highway, but this is the way that's going to serve you best.
I do. I've always, even when he was little, always explain why. It's not just, even though I say because I say so, I
Hmm.
usually have an explanation behind. And my brother would always be like, "Why are you explaining to him?" Because how do they learn if you don't teach them and have them understand why it's a no? So
And I do like that. I do like none of my generation like because I told you so. Or we accepted it, we readily accepted it because that's how much respect we gave to our parents. I personally, it was not something that I would really, but I know that we knew our parents had our back.
right,
So that because I told you so, I think most of us said, okay,
right,
right?
right,
They're doing so many other things that are right. It's okay, we'll buy that because
right.
I told you so worked for our betterment. That's probably the best way to put that. Your next question is, I like these when parents pick this question. Share a panic moment and how you overcame it.
Oh. So when my son was in third grade, I dropped him off at school. I think it was like 7:30 in the morning. His school starts at 8. At 8:10, I got a call from the school. Your son's not in school today. My heart dropped. My soul left my body. I was in panic. What are you talking about? I dropped him out. I walked him in the gate. Where is my child? Where and they're like, we haven't seen him. He's not in class. We haven't seen him. So I start grabbing my stuff, getting ready to go. I worked with my mother, so excuse me, sorry. So it was easy to just say I gotta go. So I was like, I gotta go. As I'm getting ready to walk out the door, I get a phone call. We found him. My son's school was in the middle of a desert. The area we lived in was still being developed, so there was desert all around. They went outside into the desert, him and a couple friends, and they found this little hut that I guess a homeless person had been living in, and they were playing in it. I saw red. I wanted to kill him. I was so angry and shaking so bad and so mad that my mom said, "You are not going anywhere." She did not let me around my child all day.
And so third grade is 8 years old?
Uh, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Every parent again who's been on here, those of you who are watching, has that moment. And yes, I am curious. That's why I put that question there is how do you handle it? And yeah, the first answer is always fear.
Yes,
And then the second answer generally borderlines kill. But
yes, yes.
your mom
My mom would not let me near. And I tell you what, I worked the day. I calmed down. When 3:15 hit and I had to go pick him up, that anger came right back,
did it.
and I was not allowed to pick him up. She went and got him.
So he got home. You're furious. You're seeing pink now, not as much. You still have to have a conversation of please don't make me panic again
Yes.
at to a 8-year old. What do you say to this 8-year old?
So my mom brought him in the door, and I thought I was gonna scream. I thought I was gonna yell. I thought I was gonna hit him, but I didn't. I dropped to my knees and I cried and I hugged him, and he didn't understand why I was crying. You know, he's 8. He didn't know. He's like, "What's wrong with mom?"
Mm-hmm.
When I finally got done crying and got the tears off my face, I sat him down and I we had the conversation about, you don't know what's out there. You don't know the people that are out there. That there could have been some homeless guy out there that could have just, hey, here's a free opportunity to make some money and go sell you to the black market, or the and so he excuse me, he didn't know what that was. And so
Mm-hmm.
I explained to him what it is and put the fear in him. And so when I was telling him, they take some people take little kids, chop them up into pieces, sell their parts. His eyes, the wolf on the mask where it pops out. His eyes were popped out like I
Well,
painted a picture.
that's there you go. There you go. Taking my words out of my mouth. That's exactly what is necessary. Because no matter how old, I mean, anybody over 5, pretty much, even a 4-year old, today's 4-year olds, you can paint a picture
Yes,
that they can see. I mean, what are they? They're full of fantasy and ideas in their head, right? That's they can make up stories. Well, well, you're telling a story. It's a made up story, but all you did was the right thing was to make them see it.
yes,
And that's why I don't believe that parents have to necessarily spank. We know spanking comes in handy or every so often. But if you can paint a picture for a child to make them understand the angst, the anguish, the worryation that they're causing you because you love them, most kids will see it because they're going to feel and see that panic on your face,
right.
right? And he saw the tears and he didn't know what
Yeah,
to do, right?
yeah.
And
He
then
saw the
once
tears first.
right. And then once you explain to him, and so I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that never happened again.
No, no. Well, not until he was a teenager.
Let's go by that. All right. So the next question is if you did, what age did you discuss sex, drinking, and drugs? And if not, why not?
I did, and I did very young. My son was 10 years old. My son had, after third grade, I pulled him out of the school and he had been homeschooled. And he asked to go back to school for junior high. And, 11 years old, they go into junior high and they're mixed in with 13-year-olds, and those 13-year-olds are starting to do stuff. And so we had the conversation before he went back to school. And again, his eyes were like, because not I'm not shy about talking about sex. A lot of people around me get very uncomfortable because I'm very open with it, and I'm very open with my son. Even now, him and his girlfriend. Every time they walk in a room, I'm like, wear a condom. Um, so I had a detailed conversation about sex with him, a very detailed conversation about drugs. A good thing that I had on my side was one of his cousins started doing drugs
Mhm.
and her life was falling apart and she was losing family and he got to see it. So explaining drugs to him and putting his cousin in with that helped out a lot for me. So
Again, it's a picture.
yes.
Tell me a little bit, if you can, about the sex talk.
So
Parents, parents. The one topic that is so instrumental in children's lives seems to be the one topic that parents do not cannot have with their children. Give us a little bit of what you said to a 10-year-old.
So I started off asking him if he knew what it was. And little, not little, but younger kids, they say, yeah, you kiss and you hold hands and you go through. I said, okay, that's a good start. And I started off talking about kissing. I'm like, you kiss. Do you kiss them like you kiss mommy, or do you kiss them differently? And he's like, ew, I don't kiss mommy. So I ended up explaining what a kiss is, explaining what a French kiss is. And then from there, I went into his parts and how, you understand why you don't go into the bathroom with mommy, right? Because mommy has different parts, and you men have men's bathrooms and women have women's bathrooms because we have different parts. And explain what those parts were. Men have, you have a penis. It's out, it hangs, you hold it to pee. Women have vaginas. And I said, we have to sit and we have to, our pee comes out of lips, basically. And, of course, he's like, lips. And I'm like, sort of, little different, kind of the same. And I explained that. And then from there, I went into when two people are in love and older, they start having sex.
Mm-hmm.
And I emphasized older.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work. Anyway, they start having sex, and it's when your part goes into a female's part repeatedly, and stuff happens. I didn't get too into it at that age about what happens. I did later. And I said there's also other things that happen. I explained what a blowjob is. I explained what going down on a girl is. And again, his eyes were, and it was, ew, mom, never. I said,
How,
yes, wait till
how,
you have it done the first time.
then we'll have this talk again. How old was he when you started insisting and started buying condoms for him?
12.
12.
12.
Good age.
Yep.
Did you show him how to put it on?
We did the banana method. Showed him how to use. Showed him how to open. I even was slick about it for him. I showed him how to do the whole tooth thing to look all slick.
Oh, now you're making your 12-year-old Mac Daddy.
Hey, if they're gonna do it, at least don't look like a fool.
Well, good for you. That is I wish I could have just that show alone because it amazes me how parents can't. I don't know about, and fathers do a whole different get it, son, get it kind of thing. And moms don't know, don't want to talk about it at all. Oh my God, my son's having sex. Yeah, your son's having sex. You had sex. Everybody has sex.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get to your next question. Your next question is, what are you most proud of your child?
I'm very proud of my son's heart. I know parents say that and stuff, but my son, back in elementary school, had a project for school. They were collecting $10 from every child to go and buy jackets for the homeless. I think it was like second grade, first or second. He comes home, Mom, I need $10. For what? You're 10. I buy you everything. What do you need $10 for? Because finance is a whole nother issue with my son. Not issue, learning thing with my son. So I'm like, well, what's it for? And so he tells me, I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I don't have it right now. I get paid on Wednesday. I'll give it to you on Wednesday. I get a call from his teacher the next day. We wanted to say thank you for the $20. It was only supposed to be $10, but we appreciate the extra. What are you talking about? The $20 you sent. I didn't send $20.
Uh-oh.
He busted his piggy bank, got his $20 out of his piggy bank that he had saved from doing chores, and took the money so that they could have it for the guys for the jackets. And that's not the only time. He was 8, and there was a guy outside that he had money to go into 7-Eleven and get a Slurpee and a snack. And instead of going and getting a Slurpee and a snack, he took it and gave it to the guy. Like, he's just got a heart of gold.
My favorite. Actually, I cannot say that loud because I have another favorite nephew in Beaumont, California. In case Shelton's watching, Shelton, he's my next favorite nephew. But he is a sweetheart. Let's get to your fun question. So wait, I like to wrap up. Your parents had you at a young age. You were moderately a young adult. Wasn't planned. The father didn't stay around. You took the bull by the horn, assumed all responsibility. Of course, having that village behind you to help you get him where he needed to go. You did not avoid the hard topics, including financing and sex and education. This is what goes into, these are some of the formulas or ingredients that's part of the formula in creating a responsible adult, folks. Yeah, you can't miss a lot of these steps. Most of them, you can't miss any of them. You, especially with your finances with him, is exceptional. The sex, I think, is even tops the finances because you know how I feel about responsible sex. And we thank you. But can't finish thanking you yet. So, oh, Charlene. Let me tell you what I did. Oh my goodness. I changed my questions over the weekend. Do you remember the question you chose? Because I got plenty of them. I have 13 brand new questions that everyone else will be answering.
I left in a hurry to get on here, and I left my questions.
No, you don't have to. I'm going to pick one for you. I probably just pick one anyway, but I do like you guys to be ready. Okay, here's one. I like my new questions, by the way. Ooh. Okay. They're all good. I promise you, I love these. Okay. What 3 foods would you like to eat for the rest of your life?
Oh, schnitzel.
Huh?
Schnitzel. It's a German dish.
Okay.
Schnitzel.
Okay.
Chips and salsa. And steak.
A hot dog, chips and salsa, and steak. You will be so binded up. You will have.
Schnitzel's not a hot dog. It's actually a breaded pork chop. Okay. And then they put a mushroom brown gravy over it.
Okay. Okay. And then chips and salsa and a steak. Yeah. All I'm saying is that you won't be shitting. Is all I'm saying. Those are not foods that are going to pass through your intestines. So you'll be a little stopped up, but hopefully you'll be happy because those will be the only 3 foods you can eat for the rest of your life.
I'm good with it.
Hey, listen, it's your question. I want to thank you, everyone else out there, all the society who's looking forward to your kid becoming another responsible adult. Someone that we can all be proud of, that's going to make a difference in the world. His kind heart, his loving mother, his support system. And one of the things that I love when I first met you all, let me just say a little bit about her son. Her son he speaks so low. His voice is so low. You see his lips move and you almost think words are coming out of the mouth. And the very first time we met, he's sitting on the inside of the booth with her, and he talked, and I look over and I said, I think I saw his mouth move. And I couldn't hear anything he said. I've never heard to this day anyone that speaks so quietly. And then he said these magic words to his mom that I was able to hear. And he said to her, where has she been all of our life? Mm-hmm. And that was our in love moment, and we adopted each other as nephew and auntie, and I love him silly. He is just he is a good kid, a young man. He's going to be a wonderful man. And now, unfortunately, that he has me in his life, he has no choice. If he thinks you're hard on him, and he knows that, but he knows I love him so much I can't say it without a smile on my face. I'm going to again thank you for your time with us
Thank
this
you.
evening, and thank you for doing the outstanding job. I don't have to tell you to continue to do it because you wouldn't know how to do anything else. And
Thank you.
and he's worth it. They're all worth it. And this is my thing about kids. I think they're all worth it. I do this show because I love children, because I think they deserve, I know they deserve a fair chance in this world. And it's our jobs, parents' jobs, grandmothers, aunts, uncles, teachers, whoever is around a kid that can help make a difference in their tomorrows. That's our job. We are a village. My village just doesn't feed them.
Be
my
glad.
my village doesn't give them a key. But I go outside of my house and not my home, and I find kids to speak to help, to encourage, and that is what this show does. What I like to say in conclusion to all of my shows is what I hope this show does, and what I've learned in my life is when you know better, you do better. And Charlene has given us some words of wisdom today to help other parents who maybe it's just not something you were doing, something that you can incorporate in the betterment of your child's tomorrows. We are here every Tuesday, unless God knows something I don't. Our time changes every so often, so I can accommodate the parent. You can also follow us on YouTube at prconnections.com. I have two self-published books on Amazon called Cozyisms, The Art of Paying Attention, the First Rule in Life, and I do believe that. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you, my girlfriend. And
Thank you.
everyone, please have a great evening. Charlene, I'm going to call you in a minute.
Yes, ma'am.